We're going to read some more Ramona today. We're on chapter 6, The Baddest Witch in the World. Do you remember what Ramona wants to be for Halloween? You got it, a witch. And she's not just going to be any witch, but the baddest witch. Here we go, chapter 6. When the morning kindergarten cut jack-o'-lanterns from orange paper and pasted them to the windows so that the light shone through the eye and mouth holes, Ramona knew that at last Halloween was not far away. Next to Christmas and her birthday, Ramona liked Halloween best. She liked dressing up and going trick-or-treating after dark with Beezus. She liked those nights when the bare branches of the trees waved against the streetlights and the world was a ghostly place. Ramona liked scaring people, and she liked the shivery feeling of being scared herself. Ramona had always enjoyed going to school with her mother to watch the boys and girls of Glenwood School parade on the playground in their Halloween costumes. Afterwards, she used to eat a donut and drink a paper cup of apple juice if there happened to be any left over. But this year, after years of sitting on the benches with her mothers and little brothers and sisters, Ramona was finally going to get to wear a costume and march around the playground. This year, she had a donut and apple juice coming to her. "Mama, did you buy my mask?" Ramona asked every day when she came home from school. "Not today, dear," Mrs. Quimby answered. "Don't pester. I'll get it the next time I go down to the shopping center." Ramona, who did not mean to pester her mother, could not see why grown-ups had to be so slow. "Make it a bad mask, Mama," she said. "I want to be the baddest witch in the whole world." "You mean the worst witch," Beezus said whenever she happened to overhear this conversation. "I do not," contradicted Ramona. "I mean the baddest witch." Baddest witch sounded much more scary than worst witch. Ramona did enjoy stories about bad witches. The baddest, the better. She had no patience with books about good witches, because witches were supposed to be bad. Ramona had chosen to be a witch for that very reason. And then, one day, when Ramona came home from school, she found 2 paper bags on the foot of her bed. One contained a black material and a pattern for a witch costume. The picture on the pattern showed the witch's hat pointed just like the letter A. Ramona reached into the second bag and pulled out a rubber witch mask, so scary that she quickly dropped it on the bed because she was not even sure she wanted to touch it. The flabby thing was grayish-green color of mold. It had stringy hair and a hooked nose and snaggle teeth, and a wart on its nose. Its empty eyes seemed to stare at Ramona with a look of evil. The face was so ghastly that Ramona had to remind herself that it was only a rubber mask from the dime store before she could summon enough courage to pick it up and slip it over her head. Ramona peeked cautiously in the mirror, backed away, and then gathered her courage for a longer look. "That's really me in there," she told herself, and she felt better. Do you want to see the picture of Ramona? Does she look scary? Or kind of silly? What do you think? She ran off to show her mother and discovered that she felt very brave when she was inside the mask, and she did not have to look at it. "I'm the baddest witch in the world," she shouted, her voice muffled by the mask. And she was delighted when her mother was so frightened she dropped her sewing. Ramona waited for Beezus and her father to come home so she could put on her mask and jump out and scare them. But that night, before she went to bed, she rolled up the mask and she hid it behind the cushion of the couch in the living room. "What are you doing that for?" asked Beezus, who had nothing to be afraid of. She was planning to be a princess and wear a narrow pink mask. "Because I want to," answered Ramona, who did not care to sleep in the same room with that ghastly, leering face. Afterward, when Ramona wanted to frighten herself, she would just lift the cushion for a quick glimpse of her scary mask before she clapped that pillow over it again. Scaring herself was so much fun. When Ramona's costume was finished, the next day, and the day of Halloween parade arrived, the morning kindergarten had trouble sitting still for seat work. They wiggled so much while resting on their mats that Miss Spinny had to wait a long time before she found someone quiet enough to be the wake-up fairy. When kindergarten was finally dismissed, the whole class forgot the rules and went stampeding out of the door. At home, Ramona ate only the soft part of her tuna fish sandwich because her mother insisted she could not go to the Halloween parade on an empty stomach. She wadded the crusts in her paper napkin and hid them beneath the edge of her plate before she ran to her room to put on her long black dress, her cape, and her mask, and her pointed hat, which had an elastic under her chin. Ramona had doubts about that elastic. None of the witches whom she met in books seemed to have elastic under their chin, but today she was too happy and excited to bother to make a fuss. "See, Mama," she cried, "I'm the baddest witch in the whole world." Mrs. Quimby smiled at Ramona, patted her through the long black dress, and said affectionately, "Sometimes I think you are." "Come on, Mama, let's go to the Halloween parade." Ramona had waited so long she did not see how she could wait another 5 minutes. "I told Howie's mother we would wait for them," said Mrs. Quimby. "Mama, did you have to?" protested Ramona, running to the front window to watch for Howie. Fortunately, Mrs. Kemp and Willa Jean were already approaching, with Howie dressed in a black cat costume, lagging along behind, holding the end of his tail with one hand. Willa Jean was in her stroller wearing a buck-toothed rabbit mask. Ramona could not wait. She burst out the front door, yelling through her mask, "Yeah! I'm the baddest witch in the world!" "Hurry, Howie! I'm going to get you, Howie!" Howie walked solidly along, lugging his tail, so Ramona ran out to meet him. He was not wearing a mask, but instead he had pipe cleaners scotch taped to his face for whiskers. "I'm the baddest witch in the world," Ramona informed him, "and you can be my cat." "I don't want to be your cat," said Howie. "I don't want to be a cat at all." "Why not, Howie?" asked Mrs. Quimby, who had joined Ramona and the Kemps. "I think you make a very nice cat." "My tail's busted," complained Howie. "I don't want to be a cat with a busted tail." Mrs. Kemp sighed. "Now, Howie, if you'll just hold up the end of your tail, nobody will even notice." And then she said to Mrs. Quimby, "I promised that he could be a pirate this year, but his older sister was sick, and while I was taking her temperature, Willa Jean crawled into the cupboard and managed to dump a whole quart of salad oil all over the kitchen floor. Now, if you've ever had to clean up oil off of the floor, you know what I went through." And then Howie went into the bathroom. He climbed up, "Oh yes, dear, I understand you want to help," to get a sponge, and he accidentally knelt on a tube of toothpaste that someone had left on top of, "Oh, now, Howie, I didn't say you left the top off." And the toothpaste squirted all over the bathroom, and there was another mess to clean up. Well, I finally had to drag his sister's old cat costume out of a drawer, and when he put it on, he discovered the wire in the tail was broken. But there wasn't time to rip it apart and put in a new wire. "You have very handsome whiskers," said Mrs. Quimby, trying to coax Howie to look on the bright side. "Scotch tape itches me," said Howie. Ramona could see that Howie was not going to be any fun at all, even on Halloween. Never mind, she would have fun all by herself. "I'm the baddest witch in the world," she sang in her muffled voice, skipping with both feet. "I'm the baddest witch in the world." And when they were inside of the playground, Ramona saw that it was already swarming with both the morning and the afternoon kindergartens in their Halloween costumes. Poor Miss Benny, dressed up like Mother Goose, now had responsibility of 68 boys and girls. "Run along, Ramona," said Mrs. Quimby when they had crossed the street. "Howie's mother and I are going around to the big playground to try to find a seat on a bench before they are all taken." Ramona ran screaming onto the playground. "Yeah! I'm the baddest witch in the world!" Nobody paid any attention because everyone else was screaming too. The noise was glorious. Ramona yelled and screamed and shrieked and chased anyone who would run. She chased tramps and ghosts and ballerinas. And sometimes other witches in masks exactly like hers chased her. And then she would turn around and chase the witches right back. She tried to chase Howie, but he would not run. He just stood there beside the fence, holding his broken tail and missing all the fun. We're going to stop there for now, but we'll finish this chapter up soon. So look for it on YouTube. Bye for now. I hope you enjoyed that. What do you think is going to happen next? Give it some thought. We'll see you soon.